Hello, committee chair, members of the committee. Adam Smith, City Manager's Office here with the seventh annual Recognized Obligation Payment Schedule for fiscal year 2022-23. The recommendation is that the Finance and Governance Committee recommend that the Community Development Commission successor agency adopt a resolution approving the seventh annual Recognized Obligation Payment Schedule, otherwise known as the ROPS, for fiscal year 22-23, covering the period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. As part of the 2011 Budget Act at the state level, all redevelopment agencies in the state of California were officially dissolved, including Oxnard's redevelopment agency, the Community Development Commission. As a result of eliminating all RDAs in this state, property tax revenues are now used to pay the required payments on existing bonds, other obligations, and pass-through payments to local governments. The remaining property tax revenues that exceed these obligations are now allocated to cities, counties, special districts, and school and community college districts. This is known as the redevelopment dissolution law. To help facilitate the wind down process of the redevelopment agencies, each city formed a successor agency. In the city of Oxnard, the city council is the successor agency to the Oxnard Community Development Commission, the former RDA. And each successor agency has a county oversight board that supervises its work. In the county here, it's the Ventura County Consolidated Oversight Board. The 7-member county OB is comprised of reps from local agencies, from Ventura County cities, special districts, K-14 educational agencies, community college districts, and the like. Pursuant to this state law, the city's successor agency is required to prepare an annual ROPS, Recognized Obligation Payment Schedule, which lists all of the enforceable obligations of the former RDA for the coming year. This includes bond debt service payments, developer payments, and other types of contracts listed. And the city and all successor agencies throughout the state have been doing this since 2012 on an annual basis. The ROPS in front of you today covers the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. This ROPS must be submitted to the California DOF after approval by the County Oversight Board no later than February 1st, 2022. The ROPS 22-23 period totals about $10 million in successor agency enforceable obligations. These include bond debt service, developer agreement payments, special tax district assessment, property tax analysis agreements, and contracts. Now, the majority of the successor agency ROPS comes from bond debt service, from bonds issued when the redevelopment agency was active. Two notable changes on this year's ROPS include the Hero River Park Owner Participation Agreement payments, which are for affordable housing and public infrastructure, as well as the Downtown Theater lease guarantee. Now, it's important to note these two changes only include the updating of each obligation's termination date. And it's also important to note that the general fund is not responsible for any items on the ROPS, including the two changes on this year's annual ROPS. For the River Park OPA payment, each fiscal year, the successor agency's property tax consultant, which is HDL Corn & Cone, determines the amount of the payments for affordable housing and public infrastructure, which is due. These payments arise from a 2010 MOU to the River Park Owner Participation Agreement with River Park developers concerning the construction of affordable housing and public infrastructure improvements. Upon further analysis of the OPA and its accompanying amendments, which there are 6 by staff and HDL, it was determined that the termination dates of both of these payments, which have been listed as November 2032 for item 24 and July 2035 for item 40, it's been listed as those termination dates since at least 2015, 2016, should both be updated to June 30th, 2036, because the MOU outlines the term that these payments shall expire as 30 years from the commencement date, which the MOU defines as August 25th, 2006, and not the date of when the OPA or its amendments were executed. The change in termination dates for the River Park OPA payments has no impact on this year's ROPS obligation, but rather extends the termination date of the River Park OPA payments. The revised total outstanding obligations for item 24 and item 40 is now approximately 10.2 million and 22 million, respectively, up from the previously reported figures of 8.9 and 19.5 million from prior year's ROPS. Secondly, we have the downtown theater lease guarantee payment, which this year's annual ROPS has a change to. This is for the downtown theater lease guarantee, and the guarantee, which was entered in April 2004, provides that the Oxnard successor agency, as the guarantor, agrees that to the payment of all amounts payable by the tenant to the lender pursuant to the lease and/or the deposit agreement for minimum monthly rent and triple net charges. And the guarantee specifies that the lease guarantee payments could continue until 25 years after the rent commencement date. Upon examination by successor agency legal counsel, the date was determined of the rent commencement date to be November 26, 2005, when the theater operator first requested a lease guarantee payment instead of the previously assumed November 26, 2000. The change in date effectively pushes back the guarantee termination date from the previously reported date of November 26, 2025 to November 26, 2030. The revised total obligation for item 52, the lease guarantee payment, is now approximately 12.7 million, up from the previously reported figure of 5.5 million from prior year's ROPS. Again, the change termination date has no impact on this year's ROPS obligation, but rather extends the termination date of the guarantee. Approval of this year's ROPS 22-23 will ensure that the successor agencies continues the payment of all of its enforceable obligations. Certification of the ROPS allows the successor agency to collect the property tax revenues from the Ventura County Auditor Controller in an amount sufficient to pay the obligations listed on the ROPS 22-23 on time. Again, the general fund is not responsible for any of these enforceable obligations, including the corrections to the River Park and guarantee termination dates. The 7th annual ROPS must be submitted to the DOF by February 1st, 2022. If this deadline is not met, the city is subject to a civil penalty of $10,000 for every day that a successor agency is past due on submission. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.